delineate, draw that line in the sand that's like, no, we're going to use tech for educational purposes instead of entertainment purposes as much as humanly possible. And if you can do that, you can spark your kids' interest to learn these practical skills.
Smart money parenting.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Smart Money Parenting. Chad and I are here hanging out again, and we just had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I hope you all did as well. Chad and I are both diehard patriots. We love this country. Chad, what'd you do this weekend?
I was at a father-son retreat. It was awesome. There were about 1,250 dads and their boys. A lot of sports, a lot of like motivational leadership speeches. Memorial Day was really cool. There was like a special ceremony for us. A lot of veterans were there. So just a great weekend with my oldest son could not make it. He had a volleyball tournament, but I brought my two younger boys. So great weekend. I'm excited to be back in the saddle at work. But it was an awesome weekend. What about you? What'd you do this weekend?
Yeah, a lot of good time with family, hanging out with relatives, time in the pool, seeing friends, celebrated a couple birthdays. I got to do the Murph yesterday.
Explain the Murph for those who don't know what that is.
It's a miserable workout that
It's not easy.
No, dude, it's about 1 million plus people do it every year on Memorial Day. It's in honor of those that have served and those that have fallen to preserve and protect our country. So Murph is after Sergeant, I think it's Michael Murphy. Don't quote me on that, but
which is crazy because I got a friend named Michael Murphy from high school.
Yeah, I think that's his name. And he was one of the lone survivor in the movie. He was the guy that basically stood on the rock and put the radio up to save the other guys. And so the workout is as fast as you can do it, a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then another mile run.
300 air squats?
It was brutal. And then you're supposed to wear a vest, like a 20 pound.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw a friend posting, he had a vest on. I was like, oh man, he's making it harder.
Yeah. And I've done it for about 7 years straight now, 8 years. And I've used a vest every year. This year I didn't because I tweaked my knee a little bit. But it was also 100 degrees outside. So I feel like I had enough pain. So I'm hurting today. My body feels like jello, but it's a good thing. I had a good friend, Zach, who was he's a fallen soldier in Afghanistan. So I always think about him on Memorial Day and his sacrifice and his family and say a prayer for him. And yeah, it's a good thing to do, man. We got to remember the people that helped build this incredible place we live in.
Gives us the freedom to do things like we're doing and share our thoughts on stuff that's important to us. So obviously we've got a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah. I mean, if you live in America, it's an incredible privilege. It's a privilege to sit here and talk about smart money parenting, right? It's like, 100 years ago, it was like, let's do a podcast on survival parenting and the Wild West. This is a tangent before we get into our topic today, which is incredible. Our topic today is talking about the future of education and how online is really going to be a spark for a ton of this stuff. But I want to share this real quick.
Okay.
I came across this book, and this is my family's history.
Whoa.
It's called Across the Plains. In 1852, on my dad's side of the family, our ancestors came across the Oregon Trail.
No way.
And they documented it. Camilla Donnell, she was 19 years old. She became the medic for the trip. And the stories in here are just insane, man. Like literally, that's like the Oregon Trail, dysentery and
that's cool.
Fighting off like Native Americans and all these wars and losing half your cattle all of a sudden when you wake up. And there's this insane story that I was reading about the last bullets they had. They sent off like this teenage boy into the wilderness to go find a buffalo and bring back meat because they were starving. And they were already down like a third of their people. I mean, it's just a crazy story.
Sheesh.
And he took the bullets, took his gun, went off into the wilderness, shot a buffalo, and packed out like 80 pounds of meat. But in the process of packing, he was tracked by wolves. A pack of wolves chased him, and he was 2 days away from the group. And they chased him up a tree. He used the rest of his bullets. He dropped the meat he brought a little bit, but dropped most of the meat, chased him up a tree, and they started gnawing the tree down.
What?
And he took the rest of his bullets in the rifle and shot the wolves, and they started eating each other. And this was 3 days and 3 nights up in a tree.
Oh my gosh.
Insane story. And like finally at the third night, they had like left for a little bit, and like the tree was literally about to tip over because they were gnawing at it. And then he like jumps down, runs away, and barely gets back to the camp with like a few pounds of meat.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
and then they barely survive. It's just a crazy, no more bullets. They had to do some trading at the next outpost. I mean, just crazy stories, man.
Wow.
So to think of how far we've come in 170 years since my ancestors crossed the Oregon Trail is
You're
just
sitting in an
wild.
air-conditioned room on a Zoom call where I can see your face and you're talking into a microphone.
Yeah. You're not worried about 170 years ago. I don't think you were worried about spoiling and entitling your kids.
No.
Or having them, how do I keep my kid from having a victim mentality or being lazy or having anxiety? It's like, wait a minute.
You don't survive if you don't have these traits of warrior traits and just instincts to keep fighting. It's very different times, obviously.
Very different. So, when it comes to today, everything back then and how people have been raised forever is like, okay, I'm going to learn the thing today that is practical to make my life better and the lives of the people around me better. I'm just going to focus on that. Right? It was all skills based. It was practical training. It was like, do this so that your life can get better. And it was so simple and it was so straightforward. Today, I feel like so much of education is like theoretical and complex and hypotheticals, and do this to get this grade, to get into this school, to get this job. And what you and I talk about every time we do this show and when we're just hanging out is like, okay, we want our kids to be ready for the real world, right? How do we prepare them to succeed in the real world? And I think we have to have this movement where it's back to like practical, skills-based, reading financial statements, learning how to change a tire, cleaning and cooking, and like managing your life well. Make your bed every day, starting off the day. Like we have to get back to that sort of an education. And one of the things that we had today was online education, right? And this is a tough subject because I think a lot of people think, well, online is just this, you go in either to the metaverse or this digital world and you escape the real world, right? So how do we change this mentality? Because more and more education is going online.
I think Scott, it's easy for us as parents to criticize kids being online too much. I do that myself. I get upset that my kids might be on a screen too often, but the future of education is absolutely online. There's no doubt about it. And that's what we're talking about today. The future of education is online. So quick story, I came back from being out of town with my 2 younger sons yesterday, and I came upon my 16-year-old son, Pierce, sitting at the kitchen table. He's got his laptop open and he's got his cell phone out and he's got a notepad with a pen. And there's lots of stuff written down, even a couple like diagrams and graphs. And I was like, what are you doing, Pierce? And he said, I'm just working on my drop shipping business. And I was like, excuse me? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I'm setting up this drop shipping business because I want to get some passive income with my new e-commerce store. And I was like, hold up, like what happened this weekend? I was only gone for 4 days, Friday to Monday. And he said, well, I've been watching these YouTube gurus talking about how to set up an e-commerce store and how to do drop shipping and some of the ways to make passive income as a teenager. And he literally had multiple apps. He had like videos that were going like instructional, educational videos of how to set it up. He said, I'm connecting my Shopify account to my store right now. I found a way to really essentially filter for trending products that you could easily be profitable when you resell them. And so he's gone all in. I don't know how many hours he spent this weekend, but he is very excited about setting up this business. And you know what? I'm excited about teaching him and working with him and supporting him. It's not stuff that he learned in school, obviously. Yeah. And I think that's something as parents, we need to recognize that there are so many resources online for education for kids, even adults. Anything you want to learn about, you can learn about. It's out there. It's just up to us to really figure out what we want to learn about. And that's something that's really exciting. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So what do you think about that, Scott?
Yeah, I think, obviously Gravy Stack is an app. It's online. My kids use online for education a lot. And I think it should be a jumping pad, a launch pad. I think online practical skills and using it for education.
Why do parents resist it, Scott? Why do you think parents are always worried about education and being online?
Because it's education versus entertainment. So
Mm.
that should be the line we draw. Most people see online and tech as bad is they're like, yeah, my kids, they just numb out. They go brain dead looking at all these, hype videos, entertainment videos. They're watching shows, they're scrolling through social media, just looking at videos and feeling bad about themselves because of all these pretty people and successful people. And they're watching trick shot videos, or they're watching random things that are fun. Okay.
There's a lot of junk, is what you're saying. There's a lot of junk food out there.
There's a lot of junk, but tech can also be used for incredible education, for practical skills and critical thinking. Those are the two biggest things that parents want. I want my kids to be critical thinkers, and I want them to have practical skills to succeed. And so education online can actually be used as a launch pad to do that. So if you can delineate as a parent with your kids and say, look, we don't want to use tech for entertainment. Maybe we will as a family movie night or something like that. That's fine. But you don't want to be numbing yourself out and getting these dopamine hits by scrolling through entertaining things all day and wasting your life. What you want to do is use education online to help yourself learn critical thinking and practical skills, just like Pierce did. That's
Right.
the point.
Right.
And so, with our kids, I was watching my daughter. She, we're worried about YouTube. We got kids 7 and under, 4 kids. So I'm like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
staying off this smut, this junk.
Yeah. There's a lot of danger out there. Let's be honest about it.
Yep. But there's a few key things where I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool. Like Reagan, she just turned 7. She loves art. And there's this YouTube channel where you get a piece of paper and some colored pencils, and then you just follow for 15 minutes the person on the screen who draws like a really cool cow,
That's
or
awesome.
or a really cool car, or a really cool unicorn rainbow, or whatever you want. There's like 100 of them. And they do it step by step. So it's like they're going to this part of the page, you want to draw like a half circle. And then you take this color and you want to move over here, and you're going to move over here like this. And she's following along, and she's making this incredible art, and she's getting like the practical skills because she loves drawing. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's
And that's, you could pay for an art tutor to come to your house and do the same thing, but you're getting it online for free. That's the crazy thing.
That's right. And Sawyer loves Legos. And so he just got Legos for his birthday. And so now we're going on, we're looking up like really cool things to do with the Legos, and we're building them together. He's building his like engineering design mind. I can tell he's a total builder. Like he loves this stuff. And so I want to put fuel on those flames for him. And
Right.
that can be an incredible way to help. I don't know if people know this, but Khan Academy, Solomon Khan, he wrote the book One Room Schoolhouse. He's an incredible educator, innovative educator. They just started doing a YouTube channel where they just taught everything K-12 online on video format, step by step, really practical. And there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of kids around the world using YouTube to get a K-12 education.
That's incredible.
There's like 100 million kids in India alone doing this, right?
Like Khan Academy, their website says, learn for free about math, art, computer programming, economics, physics, chemistry, biology, medicine, finance, history, and more.
That's right.
Right there, Khan Academy, it has K-8, pre-K, high school, everything.
And
personalized learning at their own pace. I mean, there's so much stuff online. It's pretty incredible. Like the world is your classroom, really, if you think about it. The world is your classroom, and you can find anything you want to learn about. It's out there.
Yep. They've got millions and millions of subscribers. I mean, this is an incredible way to use technology, but I think what we want to tell the parents here is delineate, draw that line in the sand that's like, no, we're going to use tech for educational purposes instead of entertainment purposes as much as humanly possible. And if you can do that, you can spark your kids' interest to learn these practical skills, to start a drop shipping business,
to
learn art, to learn coding, to learn all these things. Tech can be used for incredible benefit there. And so what I don't want parents, some parents, they press the Amish button, right? And they're like, we're never going to do anything online. Like my kids, it ruins your brain. It rots you from the inside out. It gets you drugged. for the rest of your life. It's like, no, that's true if you're just going to do it for entertainment and you just give your kids a phone when they're 11 or 12 and they just run wild. That's if you can draw a hard line and say, look, guys, we're going to use tech for our benefit. And this is what the real world requires. These skills, this way of thinking, these mindsets. So let's use tech to educate ourselves on those things. Then you're going to be light years ahead, because the parents that don't do it at all, then their kids may be behind. I mean, they're pretty good at catching up, but it's hard to see a kid not be more tech savvy than their parents. That's usually going to happen.
Yeah, well, and if you think about it, Scott, during the pandemic, like education was moved to the screens. And so for better or worse, it kind of hit us unexpectedly. And kids were forced, like my little kids, they're using like Google Docs and Google Sheets. I'm like, how's my 7-year-old like, Dad, it's in a Google Doc? I'm like, 5 years ago, half the adults in corporate America weren't using and understanding Google Docs, right? Google Sheets. But little kids do it now. They understand that, like, oh yeah, if you edit it, then it's universally edited and anyone can go in there and make a comment or a suggested edit. So like education was moved online, whether we wanted or we're ready for it or not. So we've got to kind of embrace that. It's a locomotive coming right at us. So let's find a way to use it for good, like you said, Scott, and not have kids focus on a lot of just the mindless viral videos of stupid stuff that you can really get addicted to. But there's so many good things that you could take from an online educational perspective, like Gravy Stack, for example. Like what would you say are some of the benefits that parents and families would get from getting engaged in the Gravy Stack app, Scott?
Yeah, like when you look at Gravy Stack, we have the financial games. So, Gravy Stack is the world's first banking and investing app for kids and teens that plays like a game. And the point of this is to make it intrinsically motivating so that the kids are the ones that want to do this. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to make money, they learn how to earn, invest, and save and spend and share. Well, all of our games have a practical use. That's the difference. You're not just goofing around on this app and like playing all these video games. It's not even a video game. It's more puzzle style and like critical thinking style. They're fun, but every level you play, whether it's the savings beach or the earning ice city or the protecting yourself online diamond dragon gem, cave, it takes you into the real world to do a real world challenge with the knowledge. So you're actually going and planning the next family trip on a budget. You're actually helping save on the grocery bill by finding coupons. You're actually canceling subscriptions. The average family saved $547 now in that one little game on the subscription hunt because their kids are going and canceling expenses that they pay every month that they didn't even realize they were paying. So I think that it comes down to what you define education as, and how we've always defined it as creating value in the real world. Education needs to be ranked and prioritized based on how it creates value in the real world, not just hypothetical, complex,
not a bunch of theory, like
not a bunch of
things.
theory.
Yeah, theory is the stuff where I'm like sitting in a classroom as a kid. I remember thinking, like, when am I going to use this? This is all just theory. Like, I don't even know if this teacher knows this stuff.
Yeah,
just making stuff up as they go along.
Yeah, and what was that article that we just looked at? It was like 16 things you'll never learn in school. How to sell, how to think critically, how to negotiate, how to deal with failure, how to invest your time, good money skills, emotional intelligence, all these things.
So many things.
So what I'm saying here is, Gravy Stack is an app that's used fun games that turn into real life experience. And that's how you should think of technology with your kids. Education online should be something that propels them into the real world to do something practical and valuable for their life. That's what education means to us. Not just because I think people can also get addicted to social media and technology and YouTube by quote unquote educating themselves, but they never act on it. They're just scrolling. It's like, oh, I'm going to go look at 1,000 videos of personal motivation.
Well,
mindset. It's like, go do something.
Yeah, go do something. If you're laying on your couch and you're watching YouTube videos about how to get shredded, get a 6-pack and get buff, and you never make it to the gym, like there's not a lot of use there. So what we're saying is online education, like learning online, learning really does get accelerated and often begins online. But it obviously is only effective if it leads to action. if it leads to habit forming, transformational changes or new ideas, but really embrace it. Like you can't run away from technology. Your kids they're gonna be on screens. Let's make sure they're on screens doing stuff that's productive and then actually doing something in real life because of what they learn. I think that's the exciting part. By the way, Scott, I've got to tell you, my son Pierce texted me since Gravy Stack went live, and he said, "Dad, I've already earned more than 30 grits, just so you know."
That's
I was
awesome.
like, wow.
That's
I was
awesome.
going to screenshot that to you, but I forgot about it. It's pretty
That's
cool.
exciting, man. Yeah. And I think, one thing that came to mind as you were talking, I think a cool principle for the parents out there. I don't know if you know this, but YouTube is the second most search engine in the entire world, but behind Google, which is owned by Google, ironically. But people go to YouTube now to look up everything, to look up how to do everything. They watch videos of how to change a tire and cook this meal and fix this thing around the house or do this job task, right? YouTube is used for that all the time. And so this word how to sticks out. If your kids are interested in something or you want to try to learn something together as a family, just go to YouTube and type in how to X, how to learn this, how to do this, how to build this, how to write this, how to fix this. I think the how to is the practical education phrase that you can use online technology to help yourself out. So anything how to, go to YouTube, like use online stuff, but not like any of the entertainment stuff that just hooks you and just gets you swiping like a slot machine. That's not going to help your life, right? I mean, if you get in any of these gurus out there, these mindset gurus, these influencer gurus, the fitness gurus, all of them will tell you, if you really dig in, they want you to watch their stuff. It's how they get followers and likes and money, but they'll tell you, put the phone down, shut the computer off.
Right. And go do something.
This.
Yeah, go do this.
Go use this, right? I'm trying to give you a guide in how to act, Like I was talking to Pace Morby, my buddy, about some stuff. And I saw this thing where he was just like, it's like, if you watch my content for one more minute and you've learned all this stuff and you're not going to go actually figure out how to do sub 2 or your first real estate deal, never look at me again. I'm sick of everybody just watching everything and never doing anything.
Right.
Put it down and go do it. That's the point. Like practical education is the key. And so if every kid's going to fall into this trap because technology, and we deal with this all the time. I know the tips and the tricks to hook somebody online for hours and hours and hours. Just dopamine, oxytocin. I know how to hook them. I'm not going to pull that lever because I don't want people addicted to a screen. It's not healthy for their life. Gravy Stack does not addict you to a screen. It propels you into the real world to learn valuable skills for success, okay? Good money skills, good life skills. So many people in tech, they know those buttons and they press those buttons all day, every day, because all they want is more active users and more views and more clicks and more hours on screen. That's how they make their money. So you are the product. Be careful because you are the product. If you don't know what they're selling, you're the product they're selling.
Exactly.
And so you have to be very, very careful, especially with your kids, not to get stuck in the entertainment side or the mind-numbing side. You can use it for great education, right? The world is using technology. Do not get left behind. And your kids, you don't want your kids to get left behind too. So they need to learn young while they're in the house how to handle this properly. I've seen parents that do like straight Amish, like protection bubble around their kids. And then they turn 18, they go in the real world and they just spiral out of control, right? It's everything at your fingertips all at once. And the kids don't know how to handle it. And so it's about training them in the home and going through these repetitions, right? Using online safely, using it to help you grow, using it for educational purposes. That's what we want you to do.
Anything you or your kids want to learn can be found. That's what's interesting. So if you can help your kids build these success habits and really have those ambitious goals to achieve things in the real world, then it's going to probably start with finding the best experts and methods online. So we just want to sum it up today to say basically that education and learning can be accelerated online. Like it's going to change. I don't think that school will never be the same since the pandemic, since everyone went online for years. I mean, we're doing this recording. We're not in person together. Like there's so much stuff that you can do through technology today that's going to be radically transformed in the next 5 years even. And so embrace it. Understand that you can do a lot with the technology that's out there, and it's only going to get better.
And if you're listening to this right now, you're using technology. So we want you to practically apply this in your home. So the thing you can do right now is draw a firm line between using tech for education versus entertainment. Have a conversation with your kids. Say, hey guys,
Great call to action. That's a great call to action.
Hey guys, here's the deal. We do not want to use technology to numb our brains and zone out. We're not going to be using it for entertainment. The best entertainment is in the real world. It's having a good relationship and doing fun stuff together, learning practical things. And so we're going to use technology for education purposes to learn how to do things and not for entertainment. That's a great conversation you guys can have with your kids at dinner tonight. So if you guys want to get Gravy Stack again, go to gravystack.com/smart for smart money parenting. You can go there and you guys can sign up and get going and help your family gain good money skills for the rest of their life. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you. Share this with a friend if they need to hear it, and follow us for more. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
It takes more than money if you want to succeed. You gotta know what to do with it. You gotta take the lead. You gotta give them confidence. You gotta make them smart. If your kids are gonna thrive, now's the time to start. Smart money parenting.